If you're just hearing this, that means that you just clicked on the audio on the Last Estate, our arts and culture website. My name is Gabriel Hart. I'm going to be the sacrificial lamb tonight. Friends have friends, names he could barely remember. Even complete strangers were smiling through the threshold to grab their order, do a couple lines, do a couple more lines while Levi spun records from his impressive collection, keeping it all lively and moving. For the couple months of heyday, every Saturday morning they were somehow surprised when the sun came up, interrupting their deceptively endless eve. By fall, the hangers-on began letting go, the outer layer of the inner circle disappearing in mysterious yet inevitable cyclic flow, leaving it back to the core of Levi, Billy, and Travis, restlessly alone on a Friday night.
For it was still light, mind you. Descended on the back lawn. Then did I join Heather at the Double Vanity to begin those occupations antecedent to a dinner party. A clean shirt and shave, fresh trousers and socks, a splash of eau de cologne, and an inspection of a pounding molar that I've now complained of twice in the course of 500 words.
So, you guys all know that I like to dip my toes into obscure offers all the time. And my friend James Nulick, who saw my videos, reached out to me, and he told me he's doing a reading in Los Angeles with a bunch of local LA authors. And I thought, like, oh wait, that'd be a cool time to, like, get to know some local authors who are not talked about all the time and whatnot. And wait a minute, didn't James Nulick send me like a book like a year ago that I haven't read? Oops. And I rather liked it. It goes through some very dark places, and James is very, very honest on the page. He just lets everything out. Sometimes to his detriment, it seems like. But yeah, it's a really good book. I feel like it peters out kind of near the second half a little bit, but I would definitely recommend it. This is kind of like what I'd want Dennis Cooper to be in a lot of sense. And I know he doesn't recommend that book so much. He recommends his second book, The Moon Down to Earth, a lot more, and I'm definitely going to check this out. He also gave me little signatures with little skulls. But yeah, so I decided to go to this event, and I thought it'd be a great chance to interview James and interview some other authors there as well. Also, quick tidbit, we passed 1,000 subscribers, and that only happened because Juan from Plagued by Visions gave me a shout out in his video, so please go subscribe to his channel as well.
Good things come to those who take, Gordo said, taking a pull of his blunt. Sounds like something my uncle would have said. Marcus waved the smoke out of his face. Sorry about that, nigga. Your uncle was a relatively smart man. He wouldn't be in and out of jail if he was that smart. Key word, relatively. Gordo's round face was consumed by a cloud of marijuana smoke. That's just part one of the stained scriptures. When will we hear part two? When I figure it out, nigga. No one was asking bell hooks, Aristotle, or Dr. Umar Johnson when they were writing part two of their books or lectures. It takes time to come up with these philosophies. On God, I feel you. You still planning to write a book one day? You already know. It's percolating up here and down here. Gordo pointed to his head and then pointed to his stomach. And then it will spill out on the page. There was a heavy knock on the window. Gordo almost dropped his blunt. He took a deep breath and rolled the window down to a set of grinning teeth. A couple were missing while the others were stained yellow. Fuck you want? You almost blew my high, Gordo said. The missing teeth man held a squeegee in his left hand and clutched a bucket of dirty water in his other. His dark skin was tough as leather and freckles dotted his face like stars in a lost galaxy. Care to get your windshield cleaned? Sure. The squeegee man hurried to the front of the car and cleaned the window in a frantic fashion. With each pull of the squeegee, it emitted a sharp, squeaky sound. Gordo looked up at the red light, wondering how long they had been sitting there. That'll be $2, sir. Gordo scrounged around his pockets and came up short. I got you, Marcus said, handing over a $5 bill to Gordo, who transferred the money to the squeegee man. Much appreciated. Squeegee man tipped an invisible hat and moved out of traffic's way as the light turned green and Gordo sped off. Who's that? Gordo asked. Nobody, Marcus said, looking down at his phone. You can answer it. We're on a job. Right answer. You passed the test. Marcus nodded, looking out the window. Gordo and Marcus cruised underneath a gold-lettered sign proclaiming, "Welcome to Chinatown." They passed a number of storefronts, banks, and restaurants with names veiled in Chinese symbols. The scent of Chinese food wafted inside the cracked window, and Gordo's stomach grumbled. "Might have to grab some fried rice and egg rolls on the way back," Gordo said. "Good idea. We'll celebrate with some takeout." "Look over there," Gordo said. A black Dodge Charger with tinted windows and shimmering hubcaps parked on the side of the street. It looked mean. Gordo loved how smooth the engine sounded whenever he heard one pull up to the auto shop. They parked down the road. Gordo scoped out the side street for any nosy fucks or cameras hidden in storefronts. No one seemed to be out. Still, he didn't like taking chances. Earlier that year, him and Marcus almost got caught stealing a Louis Vuitton bag some lady left resting against her groceries. As she pulled money out the ATM 5 feet away, she turned around screaming, and they dipped down the street, barely getting away. Gordo looked down on his watch, and his stomach grumbled. "Looks like it's about that time, nigga." Marcus nodded and got out the passenger side. Popped the trunk. Gordo grabbed the car jack from the back. He moved like a bear, eyes fixated on the Charger. Getting down on his hands and knees, he inserted the car jack underneath the center of the car. He was overweight, but his heavy frame also gave him a distinct advantage over his coworkers when it came to moments like this. He cranked the jack with his forearm. Sweat dripped down his face as the car lifted off the ground. Now that's...
Alright, so what is your biggest inspiration for writing?
It's a good question. I would say it's like spirituality, the universe. I see a lot of beauty in the world, even in the darkness and the dirt and the filth. So I want to highlight that beauty. Also, I'm big into the shadow side in terms of psychology and exploring that and bringing it to the forefront.
Okay, and for your writing style, you include a lot of, not to sound bad, but like urban kind of language.
Yeah.
Do you do that in all your books, or is that just for this book in general?
For this one in general, I'm big into rap music and listening to things like that, and I really haven't seen something that caters to that type of slang and those references, so kind of felt like I wanted to fill that void in a sense.
Got it. And give me a rap artist and an author that are pretty unknown that you wish more people knew about.
Unknown that more people know about. Chicago, this book Chicago. So King Louis, also known as King L, is the godfather of drill. So a lot of people associate that with Chief Keef, Pop Smoke, a lot of those type of guys. But King Louis is the godfather.
Okay.
So
nice.
what was the second half of that question?
Give me an author that you wish people knew more about too.
That's hard. Let me give you two. Eric Jerome Dickey. He's a black author, really great crime fiction. And then Kelby Losat, really great crime fiction, similar tone to mine as well. So
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man. I'm realizing how much Southern California influences these authors. There's a lot of slang and alternate ways of speaking that are used in these novels. Like Grant likes to use, I hate to say black English vernacular, but just kind of more of that style. I spoke to him about it off camera a bit, and he really wanted to like get the tone of that. I saw how a lot of Mexican speech was used, like a lot of the essay culture and stuff like that was just in there. And, you know, it was interesting to see these vocalizations attempted to be put to page. And, you know, just giving a wider breadth of what is out there, even if it's not necessarily your culture. Because, I don't know if it's his ethnicity necessarily, but you know, if you live in LA, these cultures are going to come up to you. If you live in Southern California, these cultures are going to come up to you, and you know, you should have a right to write about it and the people are around you, even if it's not necessarily your. It's like comes to my theory, they're showing a love and appreciation for this, and they want to put it to the page, and I think that's fantastic. Also, I started to notice these books are really dark. Has a lot to do with sex and murder. It has a lot to do with depravity in the sense, and not depravity of like, oh yeah, I want to kill everybody like like Marcus they saw it, but in terms of their own life, a lot of the troubles they go through, these are very, very personalized works. Makes me wonder if having this like more indie kind of scene, well, maybe they don't have to cater to a giant publishing company. If they can just write about their ills and be so much more honest about the page, and just seeing a lot of biographical elements in here, as well as James' story and story where they both write about murders within the area, particularly a murder in San Bernardino, and it was a very heart-wrenching story, and it made it even more heart-wrenching knowing that this was an actual crime that took place.
I heard some really good news, which is so exciting. This crazy poem that I wrote is now on the shortlist for the Oxford Prize. I can't even believe it, so I'm going to read it for you tonight. Because I'm 183 years old and I finally have like a book out, and I don't know, it's all happening. So it's called Elementary School, and as are several of my poems, it's in tribute to Bridget Pegeen Kelly, who's a fabulous poet who has left us. So this is Elementary School. I'm always a bridesmaid. It probably won't win, but it's nice to be on the short list. Elementary School. There was a goat's head hanging by ropes in a tree, she said. You have to forgive men, I immediately wanted to say, for how long? But I knew she'd say it's a process and a cycle, that we have to thank them for wheels and the trips to CVS and the houses, that it's a balancing act for everything everywhere. That marriage is about, in the end, coming to an agreement that you both need each other, especially as you get on in life. 3 husbands, 4 husbands, lots of sons. The song of the nightbird, she said. They say it's something men are, like it's what boys do. Something comes over them. Maybe it's a little bit of biology, maybe it's a little bit dark anatomy. They just don't know why they did it. They were in a group of them and it was like a cloud. They all saw red or black or some color. It's built into society to forgive them, to punish them hard and then forgive them, to punish them hard and never forgive them. It's built in. You have to say sorry and you have to mean it. Cried like a man and struggled hard, she said. Even a woman recognizes the struggles of a man. Even a woman talking about the murderous intent of children who happen to be young men in the making. Even there, a sweet song of forgiveness shocks the night with its beauty, its tenderness, the sweetness of I'm sorry. Everybody cries for a man you lost, a man you never knew. And would you be surprised to know your own father had a dungeon, not a metaphorical dungeon, but an actual dungeon where he did things that men do, things he needs to be forgiven for, things he will be forgiven for, songs he'll sing to be forgiven for, the way his song goes on forever when his song is a cry for forgiveness for the things men do. So mostly my inspiration is sort of remembering those stories, retelling those stories. Hi, Chris. Somehow like singing my song into their song, something like that.
How was the path from going from like a relatively small indie author to being on the Oxford list?
Thanks for that. It feels really good. It feels like I've been writing forever. Since I was 10 years old, I've been writing and steadily getting a little bit smarter about where to submit, who to collaborate with. But maybe it's just pure luck. I don't know. I hesitate to say if I'm smarter. I still feel as goofy as I was when I was 13. I've been really focusing on it for about 10 years. Started my press, the Los Angeles Press, in 2018 with a really nice grant from the Los Angeles Review of Books and the USC Publishing Symposium and the Vaughn's Foundation. And we're doing really well. We have our 6th journal out now, and we've published 3 hardcover books and 7 online journals. And I've been collaborating with the Poetry Society of New York and the Poetry Brothel here in Los Angeles. We have a residency at El Cid every 2 months on a Friday night. One is coming up on the 21st of October for Halloween, so that should be really fun. And also with Red Light Lit out of San Francisco. So just doing a lot of collaborating and supporting other authors. And then sort of along the way, just like stitches got picked up and some good things are cooking. I'm very, very excited to be working with X Artist Books on a book next year in June 2023. And I have a book coming out with Eyewear London, the Black Spring Press Group, on November 25th of this year. So it kind of feels like I've been writing and writing and writing forever, and then finally just publishing in the last couple of years. So I don't know if that helps anybody out there, but just keep at it. Believe in yourself, listen as much as you can, never stop learning, and just believe in yourself and have fun.
That's a big reason why I'm doing the video right now. So perfect. And who are some unknown authors, current authors right now that you'd really like to shout out that you wish had more notoriety as well?
Okay, that's a fantastic ask. Yeah, so Jennifer Lewis. She's a really great essayist and short story writer out of San Francisco. She has a new book from Nomadic Press, also out of San Francisco. I think it's dropping just this month.
I like being this age, this height. People trust you at this age. Plus, I can take things from the countertop without struggling. My body is neither boy nor girl. I am an in-betweener. It's like I'm this shiny wallpaper people are trying to figure out but can't. Do I shine from the inside? Or does the shine come from the light reflected off the surface of my body? The only way to know for sure is by touch. If you pull me close, I glisten. If you pull me even closer, as close as you can, things start to make less sense. A nipple becomes alba mons, my sun-peached flesh valleys you love to get lost in. You hide in my body and become who you really are. I patiently wait in the microwave oven. I am slowly deleting everything I am, everything I ever was, and everything I ever will be, becoming one with the smallest particle of light. Disappearing, breathless and voiceless, I do not have a name. I ask the flesh to release its hold over me. I do not want this. I am now and forever emptying into nothingness. My bones breaking over rocks in the river. My back broken. I flow into the estuary of my mother's body, and everything begins again. Though this time, I have the power to harness her anger, her hatred, her denial of me, and I turn it back within herself. We are two beings connected to each other by a silver cord. I unfold in the darkness, a purple-black flower on the Berber, my legs growing stronger with each step. I am naked and unashamed, as I was my first day on earth, born without the knowledge of shame, filth, hatred, hopelessness.
Writing helps me to avoid lengthy, costly psychiatry bills.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper than therapy.
Yeah.
And, writing for me is, it is, not to joke around, but it is, I have so much stuff in my head, you know, inside of my head is kind of like the lost souls room in Beetlejuice. And I've got all these voices that need to come out, and writing is how I do that.
Do you find that, like, because you post some like pretty intimate and like rough stuff out there, what gives you the courage to like publish that?
Well, I think if you're going to be a good writer, you have to not have any self-barriers. You know, you can't be afraid that people are going to react to this. I kind of have what I call my grandmother test. Would I want my grandmother to read this? You know, but she's dead now, so
you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. So I'm perfectly fine now. But when sometimes I read back what I've been writing, and I think, well, I don't know. I should maybe sit on that for a while and see how I feel about it in 6 months. And if it passes the 6-month test, then
Okay, pretty much like being like an indie author, and like, because I know sometimes you ever get the feeling that sometimes people aren't looking at what you're doing, or have you had the opposite thing where you've had more experiences than you would have expected, or opportunities than you would have expected to have?
Well, I think my experience as being an independent author with small presses it's been pretty positive. I like working with for Expat Press, Manuel Marrero. We worked very closely together, and then Chip Smith, who published Valencia, he and I worked very closely together. He also helped me edit Lazy Eyes, my newest book. But so I have this intimate relationship with these small presses that I just don't think I could have if I was, say, with Random House.
How did you develop those relationships with small presses, and like what makes them different from like bigger presses?
Well, so in 2014, I just finished the third draft of Valencia, and I had submitted it to 26 publishers, and 26 said no. And I was just thinking,
hey, you're consistent.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I guess I'm done. I've got one last, and I had this book by a man named Jim Crawford about antinatalism, and I thought, I'm going to contact the publisher and just say, this is a novel. It's not really a conventional novel, but could you take a look at it? And kind of to grab him, I said, it's about a faggot who has HIV. So. And he said, yeah, it's like, and he said, yeah, send it to me. So that was the hook that grabbed him, and he was blown away by it, and so he published Valencia, thank goodness, because I had all the big presses said no. So, I mean, it would have been nice if Random House would have said, hey, yes, for the money-wise, but I don't know if I would have had a good relationship. There's so many people that they...
Yeah, actually, you have an interesting style where you don't use quotation marks for your dialogue and whatnot.
Quotation marks they make me, I feel like death when I say a quotation.
I feel like they waste a lot of space on the page. And sometimes I think like, well, can you just tell the dialogue is not there by the way it changes? And how did you come to that and everything?
Well, I have an impatience. I think as a reader, I have an impatience for when you see somebody sculpting something and you can see the sculpture marks, they're building the scene, and if I can see the scaffolding behind the scene, I just get really impatient with it. And I also think that quotation marks have this unnaturalness to them, that it interrupts the flow of the narrative. So
whatever sculpture marks do you feel like bother you in literature as well?
Too much set building, like this is about to happen. I rather go into it in medias res, in the middle of things. I like to pound hit the reader in the chest, like bam.
So instead of like going through the whole thing, like John and Mary, you start from this place, you just start immediately in the household, like in the middle of the arguments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've come to notice that's literature I appreciate a lot more as well, to be honest.
A trick about that, for any young writers watching this, you can write the first couple of pages, and then when you get that going, and then you start getting into the real flow, but then you can throw those away.
Okay, kind of like having the metronome at the beginning of a song and then just get rid of it or something. Yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah, you got that beat going.
Yeah, I got the beat going. Let's get rid of this.
Yeah. Thing I was really proud of was the Moon Down to Earth. You have a copy of that?
I do.
Yes. Okay.
It's collecting a lot of dust, but I have it.
Dang it, man. So I spent 3 years writing The Moon Down to Earth and another 6 months editing it. And I think it's probably, in my personal opinion, it's my favorite thing I've done so far. But so a professor in Prague at Charles University is teaching it right now, and I think he was just focusing on small indie presses, and he came across Expat Press, and he's talking about The Moon Down to Earth, and he's also has one of my colleagues, he's teaching her book too, which is called Ruthless Little Things by the late, unfortunately, Elizabeth Aldrich. She passed away recently.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. And so it's very, and Kafka is one of my favorite writers.
Really?
Yeah. So to be taught in Prague is like,
Okay, quick Kafka break. I can never really get into Kafka. I like Metamorphoses, but
Right.
aside from Metamorphoses, what do you recommend reading?
The Castle.
Castle? Oh, I know people talk about that one a lot.
Yeah, it's his third book. And the thing about Kafka is he never finished anything.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like the ultimate procrastinator. So he could just, none of his work is really finished. Some of the shorter stories, but the three novels they're not finished. But The Castle is my favorite. It's kind of more, I think it's his search for God.
Okay.
And
Are you going to become more popular after you pass away as well?
probably. I'll probably make more money. Make more money than I am right now.
I mean, you will.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, and also, since we're talking about like more unknown authors, so like authors who deserve more recognition, what is an author currently that you feel like you want more attention to put out there and everything? And you can't say James Nulick, so.
Is it okay if they're international?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I really like Marie Ndiaye. I'm not sure if Ndiaye is how you say her name, but it's Ndiaye.
Okay.
Marie Ndiaye. And she is Senegalese and French. And she is translated by Jeremy Stump at Nebraska, University of Nebraska. Excellent translations. She writes the most phantasmagoric. It's horror, but it's not. It's literary horror, and she talks about things that I don't see very many people talking about.
Really?
I really wish that she become larger in the United States. I guess they agree.
Yeah, he likes it too. I'm gonna have to do a review on that. Do you read a lot of other gay literature?
Not really.
Really?
No.
That's funny because like I've noticed like the reason I like gay literature, even though I'm a straight dude, is that like you guys will talk about like very sexual experiences, but even if they're bad sexual experience, you're just willing to talk about them,
Right.
and you really there's a willingness to like just to be open. Like I've seen it in Dennis Cooper, I've seen it in Delaney, I see it in your work as well. So I was just wondering if like you explore that a lot or anything. It seems like something consistent I've come across.
No, I've got a pretty wide range on books I read. I read a lot of nonfiction too.
Oh, okay.
But I think the gay writer that I really appreciate when I was in my 20s reading was Edmund White.
I never heard of him.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he did some really, like you're talking about, very honest things that when I was a 20-year-old reading this, I was thinking, wow, I can't believe he's talking about this.
Yeah.
Hopefully his mother didn't see this.
Yeah. Has anybody from your came up to you and talked to you about the very personal stuff in your writing, or family members or friends?
No, thankfully my family's pretty illiterate. So.
Oh, there you go. So you're solid.
Yeah, I'm good. My father read Valencia before he passed away. So,
okay.
But and he liked it.
Oh, nice.
But
yeah.
and yeah, no, nobody's really. I haven't had any trouble so far. So.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's good. So yeah, well, hey, thanks so much for the reading tonight, James, and thank
All
you so
right.
much for talking to me. It was great finally
Good to
meeting
talk.
you.
But also, I really did like the readings. There are some authors here I'm definitely going to read. Also, if you're interested in any of the authors' readings, their information and links to buy their works will be down in the description. I definitely recommend Lazy Eye. That was one of the more powerful speeches there. So I spoke to them about their writing process as well, and they confirmed some things that I was kind of thinking of. And that being, just keep writing. Just keep doing it. Just don't be afraid to put yourself on the page. And that just sounds like really elementary, you would see on a poster with live, laugh, love advice. But it's kind of like working out. Just be consistent on it. The most I've ever done, the best working out, just the most gains I got working out was just honestly being consistent. I hit a plateau for a while and just kept doing it, and I eventually broke it. And it's the same thing with writing. You just keep going at it and putting your thoughts to the page. And you know, we live in a different time where, especially with an Instagram, with all the indie authors out there and the small publishers, you know, there's a lot to say about going for a small publisher and just being able to put whatever you want and not being financially beholden to your writing. I mean, it would be all nice to, I mean, yeah, everybody would want their writing to make money. That'd be amazing, be their job. But, there is something to the fact that, like, hey, there just seems to be a higher level of honesty and experimentation with this indie scene. So yeah, I really enjoyed myself seeing all these authors. Definitely gonna check them out. And it was great to interview James and see his thought process with writing, and talking about music with him a bit too as well. Sorry if the audio quality was a little weird in some places. It was just a bit loud there. But yeah, thank you for checking out the video, and please show these authors some love and support, and just go follow them on social media if they have one, and pick up some of their books. Thanks a lot, guys.